How's it going, tankers? This is Mad and welcome back to another quick tank review. Today we're going to be looking at the Tier 8 turreted British TD, the Charioteer. This gives up all of the AT-15's armour to gain mobility, speed, camo value and an extra choice of gun on the top, the British Royal Ordnance L7 105mm anti-tank gun with those glorious Hesh rounds. Right, here we go, tankers. We're going to have a look around the Charioteer, the Tier 8 British turreted TD. Just a little apology straight away for this thing hanging out here. It's my microphone I have to use at the minute. I've had to tape a bit of foam around it to try and reduce some of the noise. Anyway, the Charioteer, completely different to the AT-15. Its equal tiered British TD counterpart. Does share some of the same guns going through the grind, but the Charioteer gets the extra option at the end of the British L7 105mm anti-tank gun with those glorious Hesh rounds. Yeah, right, so into the basics then. The armour, the highest figure there is 64mm. It's basically a lower tiered British medium tank hull with a different turret on top. And if you get hit in this thing, it's probably going to pen. So the best way to play this tank is to stay stealthy with its excellent camo value. Use those binos to get your okay view range up to what you need it to get up to. And try and save its low hit point pool for the later stages of a game. We can start moving in. Hopefully, if the game's gone well, if you get overwhelmed and you've got a crap team, this is quite a hard tank to carry in. But if your team's okay and you can maintain the range and stay stealthy, you can continually put out rounds and remain unspotted. Right, so speed limit, acceleration. Speed limit's pretty good at 52, and although that acceleration bar is quite low, it's a soft skin tank. It does move pretty quick and it does accelerate pretty quick. Chassis rotation is very good. Remember, it's a medium tank hull, 36 degrees a second, but what is bad is the turret traverse of only 18 degrees a second. And with that turret traverse, you're going to have to use your chassis rotation if you get outflanked or outmaneuvered, and if you do that, some of the hidden stats then come into play. The dispersion values on this tank are appalling, and your aiming circle will become the size of the Earth's orbit around the Sun, and then you won't be able to hit anything anyway. Rate of fire 5.94 rounds a minute, that is with the 105, so not too bad DPM, but you've got to use those glorious Hesh rounds to bring it up just a little bit further. Right, packages then, the grind you get here from the Charioteer, the Challenger at Tier 7, not a bad little tank, got a bit of a bad rep, the gun is pretty poo, but I had quite a few good fun games with it. And then on to the Charioteer, and it doesn't feel like much of an upgrade when you get here. You move on to the 20-pounder Type A barrel. One of the same guns used on the AT-15. Then you move up to the Type B barrel, same pen, same alpha, but slightly better gun handling. Then here you get a better engine and tracks. The tank really starts to move then, but it's when you get to this point, fully upgraded with the 105, the tank starts to get a little bit more powerful than it was before. So we're only going to talk about the gun here, 5.94 rounds a minute with 390 alpha. The DPM is acceptable. It's nothing too special, that's why I bump it up with tea and pudding, a rammer, brothers in arms. Do anything you can to get that reload up because you need to get damage out as quickly as possible. Right, so stock pen with the APCR rounds is 268, but remember that's your highest pen round because the premium ammunition is Hesh. So you're going to have to make do with 268 for even for tier 10 tanks. Right, so on to the Hesh rounds. It has two types, cheap and expensive Hesh. The cheap Hesh is basically half the pen of the expensive Hesh, but what the premium Hesh allows you to do is pen even equal tier tanks from the front and do 480 damage rather than 390. Although that's only 90 extra, that does bump up your DPM just that bit more, and it's the effective use of the Hesh rounds on this tank which allow you from having sort of okay games to pretty good games. Right, last two stats for the gun then, 2.4 second aim time and 0.34 accuracy. They sound good, but again with the dispersion figures, when you move your turret and you move your tracks, especially it's more moving your turret, although it's not as bad as when you move your tracks, it's still bad enough for that 2.4 second aim time to feel like a 3 second aim time. And also the accuracy, 0.34, is very good, but at long range I've given up aiming for weak spots and now I just aim for centre of mass and try and get a penetration, because even with 0.34 the RNG just seems to be pretty terrible. Right, I looked at then. Equipment, standard TD equipment. Don't need to explain that anymore really, because it's just a standard sneaky TD setup. Crew skills, don't have many in this tank. You want Sixth Sense, then Camo first, and then I went for Brothers in Arms and Snapshot to bring that, well, bring the reload time up for this one, but mainly to help with that aim time, because that is the biggest drawback about this tank. Right, supplies, plenty of APCR, because remember that's your highest pen round. I carry a decent amount of expensive HESH, because for me, heshing people is one of the most fun things you can do in this game, and I run T and put in instead of a fire extinguisher, just to bring up that reload again and help with the gunner's aim time. Right, so that is it fellas, the Charioteer. It's a mixed bag. Some of the parts of this tank make it amazing, like its mobility, the 107, but there's other things like dispersion figures and the fact that it only has 5 degrees of gun depression and only 11 degrees of elevation as well, which can really catch you out as well. This is one of those tanks where some games everything's going to go wrong and you die, and there are going to be some games where everything goes right, you stay stealthy, you keep the gun firing, and you pull out a decent win. Right, talking of decent wins, into some gameplay, and just show you some bog standard Charioteer gameplay.
Alright man, we've got enemies in the area. We either have to take them all out or capture their base. Let's roll!
Right tankers, let's get into it then, the Charioteer. Right, I'm going to start off by saying I dislike, not the tank, I dislike this playstyle. Because you don't have the armour to block any shots or expect to block any shots, you really do have to rely on its camo value and stay in, well, that magic sweet spot for TDs, especially stealthy TDs, over 350 metres and below 445 metres, so that you can spot for yourself. Try and remain stealthy enough to not get spotted in return. I like gameplay where I jump in a tank, I drive forward until I find them face to face and I fight them. That's what I like in this game. But the Charioteer, you really can't do that. The turret traverse is so bad. The dispersion stats are pretty bad. So it really does rely on using your mobility to get in forward enough to get into a spot like this bush, get my camo net set up, spot something, and then aim in with the accurate gun, and hopefully, there we go. But big mistake for me there. I had a HESH round loaded. Because I'm a top tier tank, I expected to see some lightly skinned light tanks or mediums as my first target. But IS-3 appears, fast heavy tank, and I only splash his front plate. You can pen an IS-3 from the front with the HESH rounds, but you need to be on sort of equal level ground as them and hit their lower plate. Anyway, yes, something we do like to see in a Charioteer. Rheinmetall Borsig, but unfortunately he had the view range to spot me back there, so I just muck around behind the rock till I get unspotted. I poke the bush, see if I'm going to get spotted, and if I don't, you can see I've gone back to the HESH rounds. Bang, there we go, almost half of his health gone. I could have used cheap HESH there, but when I'm doing this, I don't care about profit. I want maximum damage output, so I use the expensive HESH. Just my own personal preference, you guys can do it however you like. I'm just showing you how the HESH works. The 105mm of pen on this cheap HESH would be more than enough, but if you load the expensive HESH, if you're expecting to see a Rheinmetall Borsig pop out and something else pops out, you've got a lot more chance of actually penning that other target than you had if you loaded the cheap HESH. Right, there we go, get another pen on the Borsig. He's 2 hit, get a critical as well. It's probably his gun. He's feeling a little sorry for himself. Aim up that shot, it just whizzes out. And that's what I was saying about the accuracy as well. Although it's pretty accurate, at long range it can troll you. And it does annoy me. It makes it quite frustrating. Anyway, what else is going to happen? I don't want to push too far forward. Some of our friendlies have gone north, but this, like I said, this is it's not an assault tank. I've tried it. I really have tried. That gun, the gun handling when you move the turret and the tracks is appalling, and it's just so frustrating that I've given up doing it now, and I'll play it as a pure TD. Anyway, so the game's going on. We're not doing particularly well. I think we are behind by 1 or 2 tanks. See what's going on the map. Need to push back now. Who's this dude? Can I get a shot on him? No. But it's looking like they're going to go for the cap.
I see one of them.
Well, there we go. Binos are up. We spot something.
Ready to fire on target.
See that target first, how long it takes to go round. Excellent first hit there. Pen with the Hesh round. Hit his engine, set him on fire. And look at that. Almost one shot that heavy.
HE round, ready to fire. We've got a lock.
In a tier 8 game, I will load my Hesh. Pretty much guaranteed. Those 450, 500 alpha hits are what this tank's for. You can hate me for firing gold, but Hesh rounds do actually take a lot more skill in using than say a heat round with a 330 pen. You have to know your weak spots, you have to aim pretty good, although I didn't on that one obviously. Let him get away. Pesky little light tank, he's run away. Can I get him? Come on, be accurate. Oh, we hit him. Didn't quite roll high enough. And he's down. Right, so I'm spotted. Still an artillery in play, and that is one thing you don't want to get hit by in this tank, is artillery, because it's pretty much a guaranteed pen for them, unless they hit your tracks.
We pierced their armor.
Right, 5100. Would have been nice to have had some Hesh left, but I wasted them. If I could guarantee I was going to be in tier 8 games all the time, I would load more. But it's an expensive way of playing. Right, trying to scope out a shot on that dude. Didn't have the gun depression or the clear line of sight to get him from there, so I'm going to poke around here, but I still want to be a bit careful. There's a couple of tanks, including the Tiger II, that's unaccounted for at the minute. Right, so I'm trying to get the ambush shot. Could go down there, I've got the mobility to do it. But even a tank like that can remove sort of half your hit points by the time you've killed them. Where's he going? He's going to make me go back the other way. Right, look at that gun depression. I had to push even forward, more forward, over that ridge to get the gun down low enough. There we go, bang.
Another bad guy.
Plenty of penetration with the standard rounds straight through his turret. Right, so I think about pushing on back up here. Go back to my original bush. Like I said, still a couple of tanks unaccounted for. Nothing there. There we go, that's where they are. They're near our cap. Luckily I didn't push so far away, but I'm never going to get there. Our artillery is there. Hopefully you can get a reset in, and hopefully I can turn up in time to look like a legend and save the game. Right, setting up, binos up. No spots, so they're obviously behind that little ridge there, which is actually quite annoying. But they probably put it there so people can't oh, I actually get a spotted ticket for him there. Nice hit from the artillery. Gets a reset. So we're capping now as well. As long as I can get a couple of resets in, it should be a win. Right, who do we spot first? It's some sort of T-34. Only get a crit. 268 pen. Look at this bloom. That's a prime example of the bloom. He's just driving forward. The bloom is huge. Anyway, he goes down. Just one tank left. Tiger II. I saved all my hit points now, so really I can just sit here. And there we go. Tiger II down. Game 1. Half decent game in the Charioteer. Right, quick little results then. Made no silver at all because I like to fire Hesh, but that's just me. High caliber, Mastery 2. And that's the thing with these tanks. Firing from stealth, normally you're not doing your own spotting, so you only get half points for it. 4,100 damage and top of the team. Right, there we go, tankers. The Charioteer Tier 8 British turreted TD. It's not a bad tank, it's just very reliant on being stealthy and the map choice that the matchmaker gives you, and also the tanks you get put up against. But all in all, not a bad little tank and worth grinding for. Well, there we go. Hope you enjoyed the review. Give it a like if you did, sub if you're not, and I will catch you on the next one. See you later.